Good morning, it's Miss Sally. Today we're going to talk about Esther. So I have the next 3 lessons and I'll be bringing those to you via video. And I hope you're staying safe. And if you're getting ready to go back to school, my prayers are with you for that. I too am getting ready to go back to work at the high school in Hernando. So many prayers going up about that. Stay safe. And I know we're all praying for this COVID to just go away quickly. But today we're going to talk about Esther. Today we're going to be in Persia. And King Xerxes is, or King Ahasuerus. Xerxes is the Greek name, and that's the one we're going to use because it's easier for me to say. King Ahasuerus is the king of Persia. So King Xerxes is the king of Persia. And the capital of Persia is Susa. So that's where our story takes place today. And he was very proud. King Xerxes was very proud of his wealth and riches and power. And he decided to have a banquet to honor himself. And the banquet lasted for many, many days. And on day 7, he decided he wanted to show off his beautiful wife, Vashti. And so he sent his servants to go get her and to bring her and kind of parade her around so everybody could see how beautiful his wife was. Well, Vashti said no. And I have this little Bible storybook to kind of show you some pictures. This is kind of what a banquet would look like. Tons of people, the gold goblet glasses, just the finest of drinks and food being served, being delivered to you by servants. Kind of something that we wouldn't really be at nowadays, but it was very big to do. And the king, as he's sitting there feeling so important and making sure people know he's important, sends for his wife to come, and she says no. So that made him very angry. It embarrassed him, probably humiliated him a little bit. And so his servants had told him, your queen's behavior is unacceptable. You need a different queen. You need a queen that, listens, because she was supposed to come when he called her, and she refused. So he decides, you know what, you're right. Let me find a new queen. So the process for finding a new queen began. And he sent his servants out into the city and said, bring me all of the young, beautiful women so he could choose a queen. So they bring in all the women. And Esther was one of those women. And this is just a picture. We don't know what she really, but it says, and Esther was a Jew. She was Hebrew. She was a Jew. And so her cousin Mordecai, who had taken care of her, would go through the courtyard just to check on her while she was staying at the palace to make sure she was okay. But Esther did not tell the king she was a Jew. And the Jews were whose people? They were God's people. So one day Mordecai learned that 2 men were plotting and planning to kill the king. And so he told Esther about the plan, and Esther warned King Xerxes about the plan that was about to unfold for him to be killed. And so the king had the men hanged. But the king didn't thank Mordecai at the time. And so, but what Mordecai did was written in the king's journal. So the king had written it down about what had happened, and he had, warned him of the 2 people trying to take his life. Haman is kind of our villain in the story, and we'll learn more about him next week as well. But Haman was a powerful man, and he also served King Xerxes. The king's servants bowed down and honored Haman. And Haman liked for people to bow down and honor him. But he noticed that Mordecai did not bow down. And Mordecai was a Jew, so he only bowed to who? The one true God. That's right, our God. And he would not bow down to anyone else. Every time Haman saw Mordecai at the city gate, he hated him even more because he wouldn't bow down. So Haman hated Mordecai so much that he had gallows built, which he planned to hang him. And gallows are the places that you build that you put the rope on, and then you knock out the bottom and people would be hanged. When Haman learned that Mordecai was a Jew, he wanted all of the Jews in Persia killed. Haman got the king to command that all Jews be killed on a certain day of the month. The king did not know it, but this law meant that his wife, Queen Esther, would be killed since she was a Jew. Mordecai sent word to Esther about the plan to kill all of the Jews. And when Mordecai had heard about this, he was weeping and wailing and tearing his clothes. And so Esther's servants went to inquire why he was so upset, and he let Esther's servants know that this is what was about to take place. That Haman, remember the bad guy, had decided he was going to have all of the Jews killed because Mordecai didn't bow down to him. At first, Esther was so afraid, and because she knew she needed to go talk to her husband, the king. But you couldn't just go talk to the king. You had to be invited, even if you were his wife, even if you were the queen. So she knew that the king could order her to be killed instantly if she went before him without being invited. So she decided, I'm going to do it anyway. I need to rescue my people. Because even if she lost her life, maybe it could save her people. But if she did nothing, then all of the Jews would be killed, including her. So she kind of was in a no-win situation. She thought, well, if I get killed, then they don't change anything, then we all get killed anyway. So I'm sure she was very, very scared for her life. But she managed to step out with courage and faith and to go to see her husband, the king. When she did, the king invited her in and asked her what was wrong. Esther told the king she wanted to give a banquet for him, and she also wanted Haman to come. Haman was glad to get the queen's invitation. He was already so proud of himself and was glad to tell others about his special invitation. So Haman, his personality in the story is very arrogant and he likes to brag. So he was very proud to get the queen's invitation to go eat with her and the king. And so I'm sure he probably went around going, look at my invitation. I'm going to go eat with the king and queen. You know, just a little snot. It's probably what he was. But he is not aware that the queen is a Jew. And so this is where we're at. This is where our story stops. And so you're kind of on a cliffhanger. I know, but that's okay because we're going to get the rest of it next week. So Esther had to have courage to approach her husband. And that was fine. And now they're having a banquet, but she still hasn't told him what she wanted yet. So come back next week and we will decide what happens. Well, we won't decide. We will learn what happens. Because Esther is going to ask her husband a very big question. And Haman, we're going to see what happens with him. But jealousy and anger usually don't promote good things in us. Courage and bravery and following God, those do. But here's an interesting fact for you. God's name is not mentioned anywhere in the book of Esther in the Bible. Though he is not mentioned by name, God was very involved in what happened. When we get to the end of this story and you learn what all has happened, God absolutely orchestrated the steps and put people in place to get his will accomplished. And he does that today. He very much does that today. So we need to be in the Word and listening to God so we will know what steps he wants us to take. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And I will see you next week to learn what happens with Esther and Haman and Mordecai and the Jews.